industry leaders learned more about it. They thought it was a very unique and an innovative approach. And I have to say that the educators are always telling us what an eye-opening experience. It's almost as if going into industry as what we like to call them engineers. When they enter industry, it almost changes their entire.
Welcome to the Please Raise Your Virtual Hand podcast. We are so delighted to dive into the exciting, challenging, and sometimes messy world of virtual learning, where nothing is impossible and redefining student success is possible. Low Country Education Consortium aims to open up new possibilities for parents, students, and our business and industry partners as we fundamentally transform learning for students. We will hold your virtual hand throughout this series, where we will discuss the world of virtual learning and how we are preparing our students for college, careers, and jobs that haven't been created yet. Virtual learning may be new to you, but it's here to stay. So, let's get started. Hello, listener, and thank you for joining us once again. We're your hosts, Amy McKenzie
and Matt Novielli.
Today, we'll be having a conversation about the benefits of STEM education and STEM career exploration. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics calls STEM careers tomorrow's jobs. So, what are we doing today to prepare our students for these fields? Joining us today is Patricia Ferguson, a regional workforce advisor for the SC Department of Commerce, whose work includes identifying workforce needs in our area. Also here to talk about all things STEM is Michelle McDonald, the Deputy Director of Dorchester County Economic Development, who has over 15 years of experience in workforce development and consultation in the government, nonprofit, and private industry sectors. And finally, we're also joined by Katherine Bergmann, the Head of Communications and Community Relation in Volvo's first U.S. factory, which employs nearly 1,500 employees right here in Berkeley County. Thank you all so much for speaking with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Excited to be here.
So I'd like to start our conversation by talking about the Tri-County STEMersion Conference. Patricia, could you get us started by explaining a little bit about the conference and the purpose behind it?
Absolutely. And I'm thrilled that Catherine's here with us because actually Catherine started the ball for us. We had a meeting at one point during this lovely year, I believe it was in 2017, 2018, to talk about connecting industry and education. And Catherine had this fantastic program that we definitely wanted to implement in this area called STEMersion. And the program, I believe, was being offered in the Charlotte area in North Carolina. She shared as much information as she could with us about the program that allows classroom educators to visit industry sites, learn all things STEM, get their hands on a little bit of STEM, and then come back and create lesson plans that they could take to the students, sharing career information, sharing specific skill needs of our industry leaders, and helping the students rather learn about those jobs that are connected to STEM and how any of them could be fantastic STEM professionals once we get this fantastic information in their hands. So we're pretty excited about it. And thank you, Catherine, for being here with us today to talk more about the program.
Oh, Miss Patricia, you bring so much excitement to this program. And I know a lot of it came out of, collaboration and best practice sharing. And I think that's something that extends beyond industry. It goes across all levels, all different types of learning. That whole, you see something, try it out, see if you can apply it in your area, and you continue to improve in your own way. And I think that was kind of this just really cool opportunity that we had, was to take a program that we had seen. It was successful in another part of, so up in the Charlotte area, and seeing that potential here in the Tri-County area. And also even fast forwarding now 5 years later, it's incredible how much the program's grown, how we've made it our own, tailored it to, and I know we're going to get into this, but so much more than where we started. The exponential growth has been so lovely to watch and to kind of come full circle and see where we are now.
So you're talking about the growth over the 5 years. I'd like to know, compared to how you started off, do you have a lot more industry involvement now than you did at the beginning?
I would definitely say yes, absolutely. We started with a pilot project, and of course, that means small scale, a small number of educators, a small number of business partners that really were probably good friends and we were hoping that they could trust us to offer this event or at least test it out. And certainly after that first year, I mean, it really honestly exploded. Industry leaders learned more about it. They thought it was a very unique and an innovative approach. And I have to say that the educators are always telling us what an eye-opening experience. It's almost as if going into industry as what we like to call them engineers. When they enter industry, it almost changes their entire life. For some of them, it's giving them a new breath for teaching or being in the school system. But definitely our industry partners have increased, even if it's not just to host the educators on site. They may want to come and speak to them on a panel. They may want to serve as industry huddle hosts where a few educators will come in and talk about a specific subject such as math or science and learn from those industry professionals. How do you use that subject every day? So without question, and even now, I think we just recently had our kickoff, and I have to say it was the best kickoff ever because we had industry leaders representing so many different sectors that absolutely expressed interest in working with us for the 2023 year. So I believe the industry leaders see this as a valuable project and they're happy to join us wherever is a best fit for their organization. So yes.
Well, and I think even just from that industry perspective, then that workforce pipeline is so important. And really, we know that we need to get to the students sooner. We know that we need to bridge that gap between that theoretical learning or things that are happening in the classroom and really what skills we need for them to be able to be successful in the workforce. And a lot of the times, I've participated in STEMersion with 2 different companies now. We're looking for similar qualities, and some of it just starts at fundamentals, reading instructions, standardized work, showing up on time, coming with a willingness to learn and opportunity and to grow. That's where it all starts. And then you kind of take the next step towards, okay, well, how do you apply problem solving in the real world? Yes, you need to do it in different math classes, or maybe there's a science experiment. How do you fast forward and kind of make it more relevant for those students to be able to apply it and think about those future paths?
I love that you brought up those soft skills that are so important for students. When we are teaching our kids in our classrooms, we have this whole list of standards and indicators and content that we need to cover. And while that's super, super important, we are always keeping in the back of our minds those soft skills, like you said, reading instructions, working well with others, all of those qualities that are so necessary. And I feel like STEM subjects have such a capability of incorporating that into the classroom.
And to jump on that a little bit, Amy, I think even before the difficulty of these last couple years, we were hearing complaints from industry for quite some time about the skills gap, about the lack of communication, those fundamentals that Catherine talked about. I think now it's really even going in and hitting into schools. I think that's what's so important is the educators and the counselors are seeing the same difficulty that these industry partners have been expressing for quite some time. So really getting everybody on the same page and bringing that industry and education sectors together is what's so important about this program in STEMersion.
Well, and if you think too, so we receive a lot of requests. The first thing that always comes is, oh, can you come talk to my students? And we would love to be able to do that more often. But as with all organizations, we've got a business to run. We've got to really focus on producing beautiful, safe cars. And we have some really, really exciting things coming in the future. So our ability to be able to go out into the community, we're just not able to do it as much as we'd like. So the reason that this program is also super helpful for us is because it brings in the concept of train the trainer.
Hmm.
So we can only reach so many students, even if we do go to a school. We can only reach so many students. We can only have so many moments where we're able to open their eyes or share an experience. And then you're still always leaving someone out. with STEMersion, we are training the trainer, we're teaching the teachers the things that we need to cascade and communicate, and even going a step further. And this is something that that has been brought into the program that I think is so fantastic, is not only are we bringing them along for this is what we need you to teach and to train, but they're asking these questions. They're so curious. They're so interested in trying to understand how they can then translate what they're learning, take it to the classroom. And the cool thing is they're creating lesson plans based on what we're sharing. And I think that's been one of the a big aha moment where you think, wow, okay, major impact happening, and you can see that ripple effect, and it's working.
Yeah, and I think that's huge because just like you're saying, you're kind of planting those seeds for growth. And when you're training the trainer, we all know that in the classroom, you can have good days, you can have tough days, you can have students that are present, that are not present, that are there physically, but not mentally. And you want to create the purpose for them to want to be able to do well, to be able to understand these lessons. And when you're training the trainer, you're incorporating that into every lesson, not just one single day, like you're saying. This is something that can produce multiple lessons and theories that they can jump into any topic and add to their lessons with.
Exactly. And bringing in that real life sample of, if a student, they say, well, why do I need to know this? Well, when I was at the plant or when I went through that simulation, maybe it wasn't something specifically that we were able to highlight in that day, but they took away just being in the environment and seeing the different skill sets and different types of people that were part of that experience. They're just able to make those connections so much stronger.
And I think one of the biggest things that I'm hearing between all of you guys is that it's truly a critical connection point between the industry, the students, and the community. And just like you're saying, we don't learn to ride a bike by looking at pictures and studying the names of its parts, right? We go out and do it, we practice, and we try it, and we fail, and we do better the next time. But right now, we have this great kind of shift going on from a formula education of knowing what we're doing to knowing how to do it. So by looking at this conference and the things that we're doing, what does it say for students? How do they benefit? What ground do they gain on both sides of this when they're actually going and doing this and experiencing it in real life?
Well, I'll add for our program, we also have what we call a capstone project, and we're pretty proud of this project that we allow the educators to develop teams and they'll create something that's hands-on that we can take back to the classroom so the students get to touch what actually happens in industry. So it builds awareness for them. It enhances those skills, and I believe Catherine alluded to this. It helps them make that connection between why am I learning this? When will I ever use this information, Ms.
Mhm.
Jones? So it brings the relevancy forward for the students and I'm sure it builds their confidence so they feel I'm familiar with this. I've touched it before. I can certainly go in industry and perform this job assignment. So the hands-on piece is critical so that we build that awareness for the student.
And I can't tell you how many times I'm teaching a lesson or going through a lesson plan, and there's portions that you would think students don't enjoy or they never knew existed in it. And I'm sure that when they're working in this capacity, they can truly understand it and gain insight of the facets that they love in a project. And when they're doing a hands-on activity, something they may never have experienced before that they truly fell in love with.
That's right. And spark a new interest. I totally agree.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And you bring up that point of falling in love. We want them to fall in love with the opportunities that are here. Not, there are seeing what STEM is used in occupations and different opportunities that are out there. But how often do we put people through our education system and then they take off, they want to go see the world? Wouldn't it be better to connect them now, early on, with opportunities that are here, get them invested in themselves and their family and even for their parents so they stick around? Being in economic development, that is key. We always talk about having the product of the building or the infrastructure to be able to sell. Well, now the conversation has turned to the product of the workforce, the people. So we want to make sure that our folks that are capable and understand what's out there choose to stay here as well.
That's a great point. Yeah, we definitely want our South Carolina kids having the opportunities here, having the availability here. And then we are, school, one of the main purposes is to prepare these kids for life after school. And so we want our students to be as prepared as possible to enter the workforce in any field that they're interested in.
Yeah, and it's really exciting. So I grew up in this area. I grew up in the Low Country, and it's grown exponentially, and it's so exciting to see all of this industry, these international companies, the tech industry. It's really, really just changed the game. Uh, when I was in school, I thought, oh man, I can't wait to go see the world. To exactly to your point, I'm ready to go and grow, go to school, go abroad, see what other opportunities are out there. Because it did at that time, the world felt a little bit smaller. And coming back to the area as an adult, the options are truly endless. You can work for global companies that have their headquarters right here in Charleston. You can be with an international company who has really a pathway and an opportunity to go and live abroad, work abroad, travel. So you can do so much just right here in the Low Country and still see the world. And these opportunities are just really incredible, and it's really exciting for our kids to be able to have that.
I love that you bring up the opportunities because, it brings me back to being in school and having those, typical career day, presenters come into your school. And like you said, that's one day, and that's great. I'm not saying anything against career days because kids love it and teachers love it, and it is important. But students need to be made aware of all the options. And, if you think about Volvo, right? If you were to ask a student, what kind of job can you have working on a car? Their first thought is going to be mechanic. But there are so many fields that you can go into working with a car. Every car has a computer system in it. Every car is designed by an engineer. There's, plenty of software analysis that has to go on in troubleshooting and innovating and being creative for these companies to keep these companies competitive. So it's so important that we're making our students aware of all the opportunities and all of the fields in STEM.
When you look, I mean, I think today's workforce, there are so many different opportunities when you look at fields that really weren't as much of an option or really didn't exist. Um, Cybersecurity, that field has grown tremendously in every company, especially as we start talking about tech in our products, and how we work. It's connected to everything we do. Industry 4.0, which is something that I would say has been around in the last 5 to 10 years, but it really is now impacting how we work. It's smart machines. It's a very much, how do you take that big data? Because we've got these incredible machines, but then how do you take the data that you're getting and what do you do with it? So that's where these computer skills and competencies really come in, to taking us into that next generation. Um, and that, I think, is really where the exciting part is too, that tech and how it connects to so many of the different industries. So it's certainly very, very different than what somebody might imagine from maybe their parents' idea of manufacturing. It, it's really progressive, it's clean, it's exciting. And there's a buzz being in a space where you're producing something and seeing the product right before you, and a lot of pride there as well.
I gotta say, that reminds me, we had a business partner over the summer share, we can no longer look at manufacturing as a dirty word. And that just hit me that that's
Mhm.
true. You teach what you know, and by getting into industry. And as quickly as it's changed, Catherine, that's the exact same point. Um, Making sure that they understand what it looks like, how AI, how technology is being used. It's not what it was. It's not our parents or grandparents' idea of manufacturing anymore.
Exactly. And it goes to that whole point of everybody has a different learning style. Some people are great in classwork and theoretical, and others need hands on, and others need everything. And, you look at other, around the world, there are different types of configurations on what education looks like. Some go straight to a trade school, some go to a 4-year program afterwards, some have apprentices. And what is especially exciting about maybe the last 5 or 10 years as well, as you start to see more youth apprenticeships and vocational programs that are fostering these hands-on and technical students and giving them those opportunities and pathways to not only apply their knowledge and learn the way that's best for them, but then go on to have really interesting careers and really great earning potential.
Youth apprenticeship is something that we have spoken about on this podcast in the past. And I love the idea of giving students the opportunity to get that real life career experience while they're still in high school. While they're in, even we have some career exploration courses at Low Country Virtual, our virtual learning program, because when you can start that exploration a little bit earlier, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, then it really opens the doors. It really gives them more opportunity later in life when they do graduate.
And I will jump on that too and say that, that's is one of the things that I love working for LCV is that we have the opportunity to provide those pathways for students that where they can focus and look in a field that they may have not had that chance in school, and they can dive into those pathways for topics that they truly love. And Katherine, you might be able to help me with this one. As I'm listening to everybody and thinking about this, I really see a shift in our culture of school and workplace and the expectations of things. And I'm seeing that soft skills kind of run a prominent role in this. And truly, the pragmatic ability seems to be one of those skills that is essential coming out of middle school, high school, and into the workplace. When you look for a skill set, what's the number one thing that comes to your mind that when you see someone coming out of high school?
I look at willingness to learn as probably that soft skill, that skill that is probably most valuable right now. We're getting ready to hire 1,000 people in preparation for producing our next fully electric. It's the first fully electric SUV here in Ridgeville. We need 1,000 people. And if you look at our workforce in the region right now, there's so many opportunities. People have opportunities to go so many different places. So we're really looking at, we want to make sure that people see Volvo as a great place to work and want to come work. But it still means that we have, with this 1,000 people we need to fill and bring on board, not everybody's going to have experience in manufacturing. So there is that requirement of, hey, if somebody has heart and passion, willingness to learn, and has a curiosity, I think those folks can come on board, learn, and then grow. That's something that if somebody's hungry, there's opportunity. And I think you'd probably see that in a lot of companies, not just our company.
And I would just add this to it, just to take it from this perspective. If students are able to problem solve, if they're able to think creatively, if they're able to analyze or manage projects, those seem to be the key skill sets that are rising to the surface. Now, sure, of course, we definitely need engineers. And my goodness, we can't find enough IT experts. I think you mentioned cybersecurity a few minutes ago. It's definitely growing in this area. And we don't have the talent pipeline for those particular careers. But the key pieces are those abilities to think innovatively and able to solve that problem for the industry sites. I think we heard that time after time in STEMersion during this year, where the industry leaders would just continue to emphasize the need to be able to creatively design, to solve problems. Of course, we know working in teams, I see that as a bit more of a social skill or perhaps a soft skill, but definitely having that ability to design seems to be what rises to the surface. So I'd ask that we kind of look at the skills and help our students create those skills or develop those skills, identify those skills. And for me, that's why I love STEMersion, because I feel that every student can benefit from what we want to call STEM skills. And as having a STEM background, I find that to be so helpful in my role that's not a STEM role today, but certainly those skills I learned as a STEM student or as a STEM employee years ago, they are very true, and they help me be so successful in what I do every day for the community, helping sure they know what careers are in demand, what skill sets are required, and where they can find the training for those skills.
Now, thinking on STEMersion, and you're talking about STEM skills for all students, and to circle back to training the trainers, what level of educators usually attend STEMersion? Is it all high school teachers?
Oh, thank you for this question because we get a little brag here. We've designed it for middle school and for high school. We do sneak in a few of our elementary fellows that want to learn and help us understand how we can design a program that's specifically for them. But we've had such wonderful success in having ELA instructors attend STEMersion and their heads just blow off because they learn about how they can take any simple little project or paper or aluminum foil and turn it into a hands-on project for their classrooms in ELA. So we're thrilled by that. Even some business instructors have attended STEMersion and figured out how STEM connects to business. But this is a piece that we're absolutely thrilled about now, and that is that we've also extended STEMersion to school counselors. And we know that they serve a key role in helping students as well as parents connect to those careers, connect to those skill sets, realize that every child doesn't have to go to college to be successful. So we're thrilled that we serve a variety of audiences, and we're not going to stop there because if all goes well, we plan to have a STEMersion for students in 2023. So we serve a nice variety of individuals and are thrilled to share that with the community.
That is amazing. I
It
love it.
keeps growing. It's so exciting.
I was going to add on to that. You're saying the expansion and scaling, and Patricia, I really got to give it to you because this has gotten so big. We're now having folks from other areas outside the Tri-County area saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing over there that's so successful?" They've heard about STEMersion, they've seen it online, and they're now coming and auditing, a day here and there to learn how can they implement these programs in their areas, in Beaufort, in Spartanburg. So it's not something that we're trying to hold to our chest. It's something that we want to share and really communicate with everyone. If we can get this across all of South Carolina, who knows the successes?
Well, I think that's where that collaboration, that sharing, and coming together it's so critical. These types of programs, because one company cannot do it alone. One industry cannot do it alone. This started out as a collaboration, and it's continued to grow. And that is probably the biggest takeaway that I really, for industries interested, we get asked to do so much, and we want to give back, and we want to make change. But I personally believe in the power of like all of us coming together to be able to create this change and act and support our schools, support our students and our communities. Doing it together is definitely the way to go.
And if I could add to that, and I thank Katherine for opening up that understanding that this is not just an initiative of Patricia and Michelle, but the three economic development organizations: Berkeley County Economic Development, Charleston County Economic Development, Dorchester County Economic Development, and my office, the South Carolina Department of Commerce. We come together to plan this event to determine, okay, what unique thing can we do that'll blow the doors off this year? So there are definitely commitments from these organizations, and we reach out to the industry partners who also see value and sit down and help us plan. And we have a unique feature this year, if all goes well again. We have some educators that participated in STEMersion that say, hey, we see value in this project and we want to sit down with you all and help you plan the next one. So we thought that was a great mark of, pretty proud of that, because it tells us that there is something significant about it. And they want to not only participate and now call themselves ambassadors, but they want to help us plan it for other educators to enjoy and benefit from. So we're really thrilled about the steps this program is taking and where it's leading us. So we appreciate any suggestions to help us create something innovative and be unique in our approach to bring these two worlds together.
And I can tell you, I may not have the business side or the other side of it, but I can tell you from the education perspective, that tells you that you are doing something truly amazing. When an educator is reaching out to you and saying, I want to be a part of this, I want to add this on to what I'm doing, that tells you that what you are doing is so successful in their classroom that they want to have more of it.
Oh,
Truly.
wow. Thank you for that. I would definitely take that. Excellent. Thank you.
And we recently had a panel as part of this kickoff event that Patricia mentioned earlier, where we sat down with multiple industries and kind of did some sharing, some best practice sharing. And as much as the educators and guidance counselors are getting out of this, the industries walk away with a little bit of different perspective after this as well. One, being able to connect and understand, okay, how can we help? How can we connect? How can we bridge the gap? Because really that's what it comes down to, bridging the gap between industry and education, preparing our students, preparing our communities, and getting that pipeline, and providing those opportunities. So it's a win-win across the board. It's an exciting program, and I'm just so happy we're able to share more and sit down and talk about it today.
Absolutely.
So it really does sound like such a super exciting program. If I were wanting to get involved, if I were a teacher who wanted to be a part of it, how do I go about finding STEMersion, signing up, getting involved, being part of this experience?
Well, along with the growth, we officially, as of last year, have a social media presence. So we are very excited to share that. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Tri-County STEMersion. But probably the most direct way would be going on our website, and that's tricountystemmersion.com.
Well, we heard about STEMersion from our director, Cindy Ambrose, and we actually had a teacher, Caitlin Hardwick, who attended STEMersion. And as soon as she told us about it last summer, she just said how amazing it was, how much she grew as an educator because of it, and just what a wonderful experience it was. So I think we're going to have to sign up some other Low Country virtual teachers to attend next year.
Please do.
Awesome.
Sounds great. I would even welcome this team to come in and help us understand how podcasting could be connected to STEM. What could we do there?
Oh, I'm in.
Oh, I love it.
Unlimited opportunities.
Excellent. Let's think about that. We'd love to see them connected to STEM in a podcast somehow to take it back to the classroom.
That is perfect. We are totally in.
Truly, it is amazing to hear all of you guys talk and the way you guys work together and discuss this, because, for teaching for about 12 years now, you can see that shift happening little by little by little, and you guys are on the forefront of things. So we truly appreciate it on the educator end, because it is so important for these students to come out being successful.
Excellent. Thank you. Excellent.
I just want to thank you for helping us get the word and spread the communication, spread the information, and get it out there. That's really the key piece. What I've seen is, as soon as a teacher, an educator, a counselor, an industry hears about the program, learns the benefits, they're immediately in awe and taken back and want to get involved. So, I want to be walking down the school halls and hearing STEMersion back and forth, and it to be something known, and everyone get involved.
Thank you, ladies, so much for telling us more about STEMersion and the needs for STEM education and career exploration for South Carolina students. If you're interested in learning more about Tri-County STEMersion, make sure to check out their social media pages and their website. And don't forget to follow Low Country Education Consortium on Twitter. We'll see you next episode. Thanks for joining. This podcast is written, hosted, edited, and produced by a team of educators from the Low Country Education Consortium. Amy,
Caitlin,
Matt,
and Meg
are proud to bring you
Please raise your virtual hand.